Welcome to the Marketing of Business. This is your host, Bonnie Squires. We're coming to you from the studios of WWDB. That's 860 on your AM dial. And our sponsor is ACT, the business-to-business newspaper that tells you everything you need to know about attracting clients, keeping clients, and what's new and exciting in advertising and public relations in the Delaware Valley. Our guest today is Manos Sifakis. I pronounced it correctly, Manos?
You absolutely did.
Okay. He comes to us, well, originally from Athens, Greece, but now from Wayne, Pennsylvania.
Yes, that's correct.
That's where he has his company. It's called Custom Media Labs. Do you want to tell us what Custom Media Labs is all about?
Yeah, absolutely. Custom Media Labs is a marketing agency of the new era. Our mission really is to relentlessly revolutionize how brands engage with their audience in this new era, which is predominantly digital.
The age of technology. Is that right?
Absolutely. It's all about the art and the science right now. A lot of technology is being introduced to the marketing world. And right now, in order to excel and achieve the brand dominance that you need to achieve, you really have to have a strong technology competence and approach to market. It's
interesting because I don't know how I was able to do it because I'm not a techie person. But I was able to establish a Twitter account for myself, a Facebook account. I don't really use them. Twitter, I never figured out how to send something on Twitter. I just set up the account and people send things to me. But then with Facebook, every once in a while I get my husband, who has 2 degrees in information technology, although he's not the slightest bit interested in Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or any of the new speedy ways of communicating. I think he would prefer smoke signals, even though he has the 2 degrees from IT. But every once in a while I force him. I said, here, I don't have time. I'm emailing you a photo. Put it on my Facebook page, and then he'll do that for me.
Absolutely. It's definitely not for everyone. But nowadays, more and more people are really looking up information, and they're making decisions online. So, it's not for everyone, but brands need to really be very strong and have a really strong presence in the new channels, because more and more people are there, and they're trying to make decisions there, buying decisions. They're actually spreading the word about a brand, about a good experience, about a bad experience they had. So it's one of the most viral channels you will ever find right now.
Okay. We'll be back with our guest, Manos Sifakis, after these messages. You're listening to The Marketing of Business. We're brought to you by ACT, Advertising Communications Times. That's the business-to-business newspaper in the region that tells you everything you need to know about advertising and branding, because that's a word that our guest today, Manos Sifakis, uses often, because he's the founder and the president and CEO of Custom Media Labs out in Wayne, Pennsylvania. And how did you have the courage to start your own business? An immigrant from Greece, what can I tell you? With a wife, and now you've got 3 kids. How long ago did you start your business?
I started the business actually the second or third year after coming off the plane in this awesome country of ours. I had no real money to start it. I had no connections, very limited connections. But I always had this dream of starting my own business, and I had a very strong vision about how brands should engage their audience as things were becoming more and more digital. Back in the day, in the late 90s, when I started working, it was really the beginning of the digital era. And I was right in the middle of it. So I had lots of opinions, lots of ideas, and I had to do it my own way.
You're not good working for somebody else, huh?
I would not say that, yes. I would not want to be the other side.
You're good at being the boss.
Absolutely. I love leading.
But your wife works with you. What's your wife's name?
My wife's name is Maria.
And she's not Greek.
She's definitely not Greek. She's half Italian and half German.
And how did you meet her? Because you were in Manchester, England, going to college at that time.
Yes, I was actually a student, an engineering school student, and actually my wife approached me in a pub.
What was she doing there?
She actually
Besides drinking.
You know what? She actually that pub was actually across from her dorms, and those were the dorms that I used to stay when I first got to Manchester. So, we decided with my friends to go there and basically have a drink in a place that we have never been to for a while. And here you go. You meet the love of your life, and a few years later, you're in the U.S.
I have to ask you, you were born and raised in Athens, Greece. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of universities in Greece. What attracted you to Manchester, England, or were you following the Beatles trail?
You know what? I was following the Oasis trail, actually, at the time. Manchester has a beautiful music scene. For those that don't know, amazing groups came out of Manchester, the Stone Roses and many other places, groups at that time. But that wasn't the reason. The reason was my father actually was educated in the UK. Back in the day, he had a postgraduate degree there in agroeconomics. And he thought that would be the right environment for his intense son to get some really good education and experience the world out there.
What did your father do for a living?
My father is in agroeconomics.
What does that mean?
It's actually it's a field of basically focusing on how agriculture can have really good, stable, sustainable economic models. Basically, how farmers can really go to market with a more refined and exclusive product line, and really basically making more money for farming. For farmers out there.
What does your father think about the current controversy about whatever they're doing with genes, with corn, and with other vegetables?
You know what? Very dangerous things. He's not really into that, and he's a very big critic of those things.
I'm glad to hear that, because
yes.
I had a lot of reservations too. The more I read about it, the more disturbing it becomes.
Absolutely, it's scary.
But were you an electrical engineer?
My degree was computer systems engineering, which consisted of electrical engineering and software engineering. And actually, the reason why I have an agency today is that I was probably the worst engineer to ever graduate from my university. It's the MIT equivalent of the UK. And actually, they pretty much threw me out of that college. And as I was getting thrown out, I look up and I see this other university across the road. I go in and apply. I become basically a student there for my postgraduate degree, and I meet my professor that changed my life pretty much. He was basically teaching design for multimedia learning. Back in the day, digital multimedia, believe it or not. I don't know how many of you out there remember that. But basically, he introduced me to the concept of multimedia and basically digital. I fell in love with it. As a very bad engineer, I was very good at actually using the emerging technologies to actually convey messages and engage audiences with it, and it became the love of my life, and why I have a digital agency right now.
How did you find Wayne, Pennsylvania, from Athens, Greece, and Manchester, England?
You know what? It's a very good question. I don't know how to answer that, besides saying that my wife is from Erie, PA, and we wouldn't have...
Erie? It snows like 10 months of the year in Erie.
Yes,
and
there's not a lot of business going on in Erie. So we had to basically come to a major town close enough to her family. So we picked Philadelphia. Her sister was here, so we could actually share expenses.
Okay.
So practical reasons brought me to Philadelphia. And Wayne actually was the place that gave me employment. My first job was in Wayne, PA, and I pretty much stayed there for quite some time now.
So, and when did you found your business?
My business was founded in 2000, as I was actually working for Computer Science Corporation, a big consulting company, but don't tell them that.
Okay. Oh, but then 2008, everything ground to a halt, and there you were, out on a limb, your own boss, your own company. How did you survive the tremendous downturn and the recession?
You know what? Another awesome question. I was lucky enough to not have huge infrastructure when I started. So my costs were very low at the time. I had to sacrifice a lot to go through to succeed in that recession. But luckily enough, I was too early in my business to have the big effect that I could have if it was today. I have 60 people today. I don't know.
60 people are working for you?
60 people working for me in two offices, one in Europe and Greece and one here in Wayne. And I could not imagine how I could survive a downturn with that many people and so many expenses.
Amazing. And your wife also is a whiz with computers because she works with you in the business, right?
Yes, she is. She's actually a broadcast, telecommunications, and mass media major. So she has...
From Temple University.
From Temple University, exactly. And she has a good understanding of the digital world herself. But she's mostly our strategic business developer. She's the one that, gets more and more networks out there for us to tell our story to.
And how do people contact you if they're interested in finding out what you can do for them and helping them alert the world that they exist?
You know what? I would love people to connect with me directly. I'm a very personable business owner. I love to help people engage their audience with their brands. And if anyone wants to reach out to me for a discussion, no obligation discussion, they can call me on my personal cell phone number, 610-457-1892. That's
610-457-1892. And if a guy with an accent answers, you know you're talking to Manos, the boss.
Exactly.
And they can explore what you do at Custom Media Labs by going to your website, which is www.customedialabs.com. That's www.customedialabs.com. And are there other ways that you let the world know that Custom Media Labs is around?
Yes, absolutely. Typically, we have a lot of goodwill out there, a lot of word of mouth, a lot of referrals. That's how we actually do business development. And you can reach out to us on the digital channels. We're very involved in the digital media spectrum.
And they will not find any Anthony Weiner-like pictures on your website or your Facebook or your Twitter account, right?
Absolutely not.
All right, we'll be back with Manos after these messages. You're listening to The Marketing of Business. We're coming to you from 860 on the AM dial. That's WWDB in our brand new studios in Bala Cynwyd. Our sponsor is ACT, the Advertising Communications Times, the region's business-to-business newspaper that tells you everything you need to know about communications. And we've got a communications maven with us today in the studio. His name is Manos Sifakis. He's originally from Athens, Greece, but a transplant to Wayne, Pennsylvania. And it's an interesting story how he got here. Tell us about your Army experience with Greece after you were married to an American.
Yeah, actually, I had to go to the Army. We have compulsory service in Greece. And I basically, as the downturn was happening in 2000 and following the 9/11 challenges that we had here in this country, those unforeseen and terrible events that happened that we all know, I was facing some decisions in my life. So do I keep going with my business and really swim upstream, or do I go and do my service, get it over with, and come back here when I'm done with that and have another go at it? So I decided to do that. We sold everything here. We kept some clients that were really, really dedicated to me, and I'm so thankful of them because I'm still in business because of that loyalty from their part. And we went to Greece, sold everything here, moved to Greece. My wife didn't know Greek. She was never imagining that she would be in Greece, but she did for 18 months.
But your parents were still there.
Yes, my parents were there. Our support network was there for her for 18 months.
Did your parents speak English?
Yes, my parents, my father is educated in the UK, and both of them are very well educated and speak English, yeah.
Well, you speak English beautifully. You have hardly any accent, as a matter of fact.
You know what? I don't have the typical Greek accent. Thank God.
I don't know what the typical Greek accent is.
It's you know what? I don't wanna insult any Greek, but it can be intense sometimes.
Not as intense as a Tunisian accent in English. My husband had the benefit of having the best tutor in English because he had me. But his boyfriends, they have a very guttural R, the Tunisians.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, they're
tell.
also French speaking, right? Tunisia is a French speaking country, so they probably have problems with the R because of their French influence.
My husband's first language was French.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. I speak French, that's why, but it doesn't influence my R's.
Formidable.
Ça, c'est formidable. Oui.
Anyway, what's your favorite, I don't know what to call them, but what's your favorite technology? Do you like Instagram or Twitter or Flitter or
I think depending on what my mission is, I go back and forth between Facebook and LinkedIn. LinkedIn is my business
Tell me about
channel.
LinkedIn, because I get dozens of requests every week, people asking me to connect with them on LinkedIn.
Do not accept them. I'm just kidding.
Well, if I know who they are, or I know what the business is or the college is, then I will accept it. Otherwise, I just delete it. But what good will it do them to be connected to me?
Well, here's how it works. LinkedIn is a vast business connection network. And what you really want to do is establish all those business connections that you had in the past and really create a network with them on LinkedIn. That can allow you to basically discuss things with them, share your updates through LinkedIn, and basically immediately propagate all your news to those audiences that are out there for you, that you're connected with predominantly.
But that's a transition, because when LinkedIn began, it was a way to send out your resume, and it was like a job searching tool, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sort of. I mean, it has...
And it's transitioned.
It does serve that purpose. There's no doubt about it. But there's a lot of business that can come out of it. People can introduce you to other people that could have some interest in what you do. It's actually a very successful channel right now. I would definitely recommend it to a lot of business people out there.
What kinds of businesses are these days?
You know what? Most of our businesses that we represent are Fortune 1000 multi-billion-dollar clients, and a lot of them.
Excusez-moi. Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I'm very exclusive. Custom Media Labs is a higher end agency, but
very high end.
All kidding aside, we have multi-billion-dollar clients like J&J, divisions of Johnson & Johnson, clients like Aetna, health insurance, clients like Lincoln Financial Group, a local place around here. How
did they find you, or how did you find them?
You know what? Good work works. I'm an intense personality, so people will either hate me or love me. Typically, people love me, hopefully, and that opens up the conversation.
And your modesty. They love your modesty, Manos.
You know what? I call it like it is, I guess.
So, what do you do for a company like J&J, which has its own internal, huge communications department, obviously?
Well, most corporations are actually outsourcing a lot of their marketing, believe it or not. And actually, what we do for them is a lot of Salesforce effectiveness tools. We've been working with mobile applications for Salesforces since 2009, when people weren't even understanding the concept of mobile applications.
That means on a cell phone?
It means actually on your cell phone or your tablet, like an iPad device, for example. Yeah, and it's basically allowing Salesforces to really tell the story of the brand in a very immediate and impactful way on the go.
How do you decide what's right for a particular client? You must have to spend a lot of time learning their business.
You know what? Absolutely. We have a methodology that is influenced by Computer Sciences Corporation, my previous employer, and don't tell them that as well. It's called the 4D. It's discover, design, develop, and deploy. The discover part of it is where you actually immerse in the reality of your client's business. You try to understand exactly what's their current state and where they want to go. You examine parameters, outside parameters like their competition. You're looking at trends out there that could be helpful to them. You're looking at parallel universes of similar businesses in a different industry that do great, and you try to assume those practices in their own business. And in general, that's where you actually begin to diagnose instead of just prescribing right away what they should do.
Do they come to you for crisis communications tips? When you mention J&J, I mean, every pharmaceutical company has some kind of a problem, and Tylenol is always referred to as the case study that's the model, because when somebody tampered with Tylenol and caused deaths, which is horrible, they were out front immediately. They recalled, spent millions of dollars recalling the product and alerting people, and then investigating and designing a new tamper-proof cap.
You know what? That's actually a big revenue source for us. It's, in the pharmaceutical space, there's a lot of recalls. There's a lot of indications that get approved or they have some issues. The drugs need to be changing their strategy very regularly. So we're there with them to change all that approach to market in many digital channels that they use. And
what happens if the client wants to do something and you just know it's the wrong thing to do? How do you handle that diplomatically? Because you seem to be a very straightforward person. You know what? One of my strengths and also my biggest weakness is that I call it like it is. But that actually enables you to have a very strong following. Because you have credibility, your word counts. So I'm the bearer of bad news quite often, but that's what they appreciate. People want honesty and good advice. And if you want good advice from Custom Media Labs, you can call Manos Sifakis at 610-457-1892. That's 610-457-1892. And give them your web address, Manos. www.customedialabs.com. That's www.customedialabs.com. How large is your establishment? We have 60 team members in 2 offices, one in Greece, in Europe, dealing with actually our global clients, and one in Wayne, Pennsylvania. How often do you have to go to Greece? Actually, very often, which is awesome. What do you go, like once a month you go to Greece? I'm there. I moved to Greece for the summer, so don't hate me, but I'm there for July and August. That's nice. So that's where I spend a lot of my time in my summer house, and also work and commute to my office there. I know lots of people who celebrate the 4th of July in Greece. You know what? I will be celebrating July 4th in Santorini because a very good friend of mine is actually getting married on July 5th in 2014. So you're welcome to come with me if you want. I've never been to Greece. I've always wanted to. You should. But we always ended up in either Paris or Tunisia because I speak French fluently. My husband speaks French fluently. His family is still in Tunisia. And we have a lot of friends in Paris. So that's where we usually end up. But not a bad place. I look at those pictures of Santorini and I just say, and I took a year of Greek literature in translation at the University of Pennsylvania. That's impressive. And I loved it. I mean, I remember the first lecture when the professor started throwing out words like Thucydides and the names of these islands, and it was hard to take notes. Anyway, our guest today has been Manos Sifakis, and boy, he is an expert on anything technological. So we'll see everybody next week. Thank you.